Welcome to Kidmin Backstage, the place where we talk about kids ministry and take a peek behind the scenes. We try to share a little bit of what we've learned that works for us and some of our failures so you can avoid them. We release a new episode every Friday, and this is your Backstage Pass to see the magic or disaster that happens behind the scenes of our kids ministry. I'm your host, Gabe Baker, and today I'm joined by Brother Kyle. How's it going?
Brother, you know the answer to that question.
Oh, man, we just got out of a red-hot Sunday night service, and my voice is about gone. I
don't know how, between singing and praying with people, I don't know how I have a voice. For all those in the apostolic world, we'll just say that one of my sons passed out, and the other one got a bloody nose, so that just should tell you exactly how good it was.
Is that what happened when I saw you sitting on there with your son on the pew?
He had passed out. He said, so I got him. I was fanning him with some lady's pink fan. Whatever.
I wish I would have got a picture of that.
Yeah.
It'd be good to tease him later.
It's good. Oh my God, it's just amazing. I think Brother Aaron said that 5 kids get the Holy Ghost, and then
that's awesome.
We don't know how many adults, but it was a red hot service.
It was amazing. A good service. Yeah, a bunch of kids praying through, and it was powerful. I went to the cafe to order a drink, and I told them I was like I kind of did my order loud. I was like, I lost my voice and I lost my hearing, so
it's a good combination to have,
blaring music and
for sure,
shouting and praying kids through. All right, well, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about growth in motion. Growth in motion.
So, I've discovered in different aspects of my own growth, like I read a lot of material, and so in different aspects of through reading since I was very young, and started working when I was really young, and held my first quote unquote leadership position. Well, I mean, when I was a kid, we had a detective club, and I was a leader, and so
that's funny.
But my first leadership position, officially, I guess, I was 16, and I was a job foreman, and there was so much I just didn't know about, how to treat people, and all of that. And so, but one thing that I have discovered in all of that, and not that I know anything really, but I've discovered that growth doesn't happen in a straight line.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it was clean and okay, from point A to point B. That rarely happens. And so, and I tend to be one that would like everything to be kind of in place.
Right.
And then, okay, now we go, and this is how we're going to do it. And I'm a planner. I mean, I kind of do that for a living. And so that's how I would tend to be. Now, I'm not all the way that way, by the grace of God, but I would tend to be that way. Versus pastor, this is probably why we work so well together. Pastor is a man of action.
Yeah.
And he does plan, don't get me wrong, but he's a person that says okay, that's good enough. Broad strokes, let's go. And he gets it done. And so growth happens like that. It happens when you're moving. You're making decisions. You're making mistakes. Right. You're trying things out, and you're getting it wrong. And you grow because of it. And so growth in motion is about embracing those imperfections. Mm-hmm. That's what I hate. That's the I would rather be in a laboratory.
Right.
And so, but expecting the speed bumps, learning from mistakes.
Right.
And if we learn from mistakes, then we haven't failed. And so, anyway, that's kind of the premise: is growth in motion.
Right.
It basically doesn't happen straight line.
For sure. It got me to thinking about something. I'd heard this term before, and I wanted to look it up. And it's called failure to launch syndrome. What it actually is, it describes a young adult who fails to transition into the next stage of life instead of relying on other adults in their life they basically just rely on all these other adults to take care of them. They don't want to work a job. They don't want to do anything.
I know some of those people.
Typically, they're driven by a combination of like anxiety, depression, and then high pressure of life, just like cost of living, stuff like that, and then fear of failure. And so because of this fear of failure, they just refuse to like move forward in their life. And the individual often has the ability but lacks the confidence or motivation to use it.
Oh, wow.
And making it a problem of untapped potential, not inherent lack of capacity. So it's just something, as a leader, we can't have that failure to launch syndrome where it's like you're fearing failure, you're fearing to mess up or make mistakes, because like mistakes are going to happen.
Yes.
And like you said, that's how growth happens. I mean, we're going to make mistakes all the time, and we do it in Sunday school. It happens in church services. It's the way that goes. When you're growing, you're bound to make mistakes.
Yeah, and I tend to be. This podcast is for me because I tend to be that way. Like, I don't want to mess it up. You know, I remember a long time ago, somebody. I mean, it was a peer of mine, like same age as me, maybe even a little younger.
Right.
Teaching me something about computers. He said, "You're not going to break it." Because I was like, well, I don't know if I should click on that. He's like, click on it, learn. You're not going to break it. You're not, it can be undone. It can be redone. Yeah. And so that helped me a lot. Just that statement has helped me throughout the years of using, different computers and stuff.
Well, we can't forget to, as leaders, if all we do as leaders is rely on our own abilities and our own power, it creates a confidence problem because we are human. And human beings tend to make mistakes and fail. But when we put our trust in God, it can give us the confidence we need to step out and to move forward. We just have to remember, like, we're part of his team, and we're not going out on our own and by ourselves.
Yeah, it's a faith thing.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to take that step of faith. And I believe that God will even allow mistakes to happen for our learning.
Oh, for sure.
And for like a guidepost, almost.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is, in my opinion at least, and I think you agree, it's like when we fail, we learn.
Yes, hopefully.
I mean, well, yeah. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So we don't want to be insane, of course, but, we want to learn from our failures and don't fear failure.
Yeah.
Fear.
Well, and that leads us into our first one is embrace imperfection.
Right. You want to fear inaction. You want to fear never stepping out and going and being afraid of going backwards. Don't be afraid of making a mistake when you step out. And then this kind of resonates a little bit with me when it comes to like singing. So I've been singing since I was probably in like 5th or 6th grade. I've been a part of choirs and from all levels, from elementary, middle school, high school, and in college, and then been a part of our praise team here and singing in choir for a long time. But I have this just ridiculous fear if it's just me by myself. So I jokingly say it's like my nervous vibrato. If I ever get asked to which I don't very often, thank God, but sing a solo, I get instantly nervous because I have this fear of like making a mistake and like either hitting the wrong note or like cracking if I'm hitting these higher notes or whatever like that. So I tend to like naturally hold myself back. So if I'm at home or whatever, and I practice singing at home sometimes, it's like way different. If I get asked to sing here, like even in a practice, my throat just like instantly closes up.
And then your worst fears are realized.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because now you're holding back, and so it causes you to not do good, which you were afraid that you were going to not do good.
So if we go into these situations like that, I mean, we're bound to make crazy mistakes, but then we should also expect, like in the beginning, as we're learning, we're gonna mess some stuff up every once in a while, especially if, like, let's say somebody's out there, they're new into Sunday school, like they just got given this position in their church, and you're just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And don't be afraid to reach out to those that are out there, and then 2, don't be afraid, like in the beginning, to maybe make some mistakes as you're learning as you go. I mean, that's how you're gonna get things better. Yeah,
and I think that's the problem sometimes is that we want to grow, but we would never have the gall to say, like, oh, I want it to be perfect. We wouldn't necessarily say that out loud, but that's what we want.
Feel that.
We want it to be perfect, and so and I put a note there: progress beats perfection.
Right.
And so waiting to get it just right. And this is my fallacy. I do this. Waiting to get it just right before proceeding often what happens is it fails and we never get started.
Right.
Or sometimes what happens is we get everything, all the ducks in a row, just right, and now we step and we're going to go for it, and it's basically the same results.
Yeah.
As if you would have just gone for it in the beginning.
Yeah, a misstep forward is still a step forward.
Yeah. In fact, that's really good because this wasn't out in my notes, but and it fits really well with growth in motion. But like athletes, like in sports, you are better off to be in motion. Like when the ball is coming at you, even if you're going the wrong way,
right?
You're better off, they say, to be in some kind of motion than if you're just flat-footed standing there.
And the thing is God can do something with someone who's willing to take a risk to grow the kingdom, and someone that will choose to live according to his will. He can use somebody. I mean, if you look all throughout the Bible, you just see a bunch of people that make a lot of mistakes, that mess up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing was they were willing to just let God use them, and he can do something with somebody who's willing to step out like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think of, the couple that come to mind is Paul, David. I mean, huge.
Well, look at David. Like, he had brothers. They were all warriors, strong, big, way bigger than he was.
Way more perfect, quote unquote.
Yeah, for sure.
Him.
Had way more quote unquote abilities, but they wouldn't do nothing. They wouldn't even step out at all. And David had the confidence because he knew who was fighting his battles, and that's all it took was him stepping out.
Yeah.
And because he stepped out, God was able to use him in a mighty way. And that's the thing that he wants to do with all of us. If we're willing to step out and be willing to take the risk.
Even here in our church, I've been fortunate and blessed to be on the point of some ministries and ideas, endeavors. And we have done, I don't know, not hundreds or anything, but we've done quite a handful of endeavors and ideas that quote unquote failed. We stopped them or said, nope, that's not going to work, or let's take this in a different direction. But because of all of those things that we have done that people like today, young people don't even know about because they haven't been here long enough, because of all those quote unquote mistakes, now we have whatever it is that we have today. That's a result of all those failures, that we did.
Brother, do you remember Heart of Christmas when you used to have the bus kids come up and be a part of it, and they were like playing sheep and all that kind of stuff, and Brother Arthur tried to read a story, and then we just had chaos. These kids just didn't want to listen. They were just all over. We had them all up on the stage, and then we did like the break in between where they all opened gifts. Yeah. And then they remember that one kid yelling like he was all disappointed in his gift. I don't remember what he got. He was like, "Oh, really?" Or "This is stupid." I thought about that the other day because somebody posted a video of Heart of Christmas from like 2015 or 16 or something like that, which isn't that long ago, really. Yeah, and it's like, man, that's crazy. Like that's
it's interesting because I don't want to get too far off track, but that's actually growth in motion because there was a purpose behind it. Oh, yeah. We were trying to get people to come. And so we wanted all these parents of kids that came on the bus. We wanted to engage them. We wanted them to come. Now, this is, a 3-night event. Yeah. And every single night is sold out. And there's people that sometimes don't get tickets.
It was hard for us to fill one night back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now, we don't do that because it's not the level that we're wanting to do. And that need has changed. It's growth in motion. That need has changed over time. So now it's not, we're not needing those, we want those connections still, but we're not sacrificing the quality to get those extra people,
And it took a lot of just stepping out, and like even when Pastor made the decision to go to 2 nights and then to 3 nights, I mean, that was like, we had no idea for sure if it was going to work out.
It was scary.
And even Pastor said, I think that first year, he said, we're going to have the wiggle room. Like if it doesn't sell as much as we think, we're going to just cut it to 2 and like not have that third night. Or we're going to figure it out. But then we didn't have to worry about it. It's been
ever since.
But
sold out every time. And we're usually scrambling to get people, squeeze them in.
Yeah. He called me this year, and he said, you have such and such, like, I get a lot of tickets and stuff. He's like, are you sure they're going to come? I was like, I'm pretty sure. He's like, do you want to double check? He says, like, I have some spots if they're not going to. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. But Pastor Burris reminds me of this last point you had in here, why so much of us in this church and so many people in Pentecost respect him so much. Is he'll never ask anybody to do anything that he either hasn't already done himself or wouldn't do. And I had wrote down a story about a leader that I had in the military that we respected, all of us soldiers respected so much because he was willing to, and it was never like he ever was at a place where he thought he had it all figured out. Yeah. And our pastor's super knowledgeable. He could do this all by himself if he really wanted to. Yeah. But he doesn't. He includes us, and also he takes feedback and input, and like, especially I know with you and him, you guys have a lot of conversations, and there's been times where you're like, yeah, Pastor, that's not going to work. Now, he'll make you try it maybe sometimes. Yeah. But then there's sometimes where he's like, okay, I'll trust you. Yeah,
and one thing that's unique about, I know you're not finished, but one thing that's unique about him too is he delegates more than like most pastors that I know. Is he has that confidence, he'll delegate.
Yeah, man, I tell you, when you get delegated, I don't know about you, but I feel so much pressure
to live up to it. Yeah.
Oh man, because like I said, I know for sure he could do it. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind he would be totally great at anything that he asks any of us to do that are in any kind of leadership in this church. And it just, I feel honored when I get asked, but I feel so much pressure just because I'm like, I don't want him to have to step in and be like, all right, no, I'll finish this out. But like the one thing that is different now than it used to be for me was like, he doesn't even ask like after things are going on. So like right now, I teach that weekly Bible study. He hasn't checked in on me, and like I'll keep him posted on stuff and let him know how things are going, but he hasn't asked me. He hasn't come into my Bible study one time since I took over almost 3 years ago. And that's just like, it's like, okay,
that he has the confidence.
He has the confidence. And that, I think as a leader, that growth factor, that's part of that growth, is that you trusting the people that you have around you. Yeah. And let them do it, and don't be a little micromanager and just like hover over them the whole time.
And I think going back to like your military leader that you mentioned, I think that when you show like, hey, this is the direction I think we need to go. I don't know for sure. This might be a mistake, right? But this is the information I have. I welcome feedback, but as the leader, I'm saying, let's go this direction. When you do that, people respect you.
Yeah, having
so
that
much.
confidence, Yeah. Like there's a huge difference between confidence and arrogance. And so confidence is like, oh yeah, I know this is going to work out, but I also am humble enough to know like there might be a mistake in here somewhere. It might not exactly work the way I think it might, but I'm going to have confidence. We're just going to do it, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and there's people that try to project confidence, like because they feel like that's what's needed in a leader, which confidence is, but they try to project it, and so then they try to act like they have it all together. Yep. When they now, I know there's many people that do have a lot together, like our pastor, but they try to act like they have it all together, and then if a mistake is made, this is like one of my worst things, is they will blame it on other people or other circumstances or whatever, and they won't take the blame. No. But people that are just open and like, I messed up. I made a mistake, but here we go. Let's fix it. I remember a long time ago in the construction industry, which is where I've done a lot of my career. I remember a journeyman carpenter saying something along the lines of, he was talking to the superintendent, and he was saying, have you ever done that before? It was something about some kind of commercial doors. And he's like, no, but I'll figure it out. And he said, and we're journeymen, so if I mess it up, I can fix it. And I was like, that's like a leadership statement. If I mess it up, I can fix it. I'm not going to ask you to fix it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That to me is confidence for sure. And the thing is that as we move forward and grow, we should expect some speed bumps and expect things to kind of go. Absolutely. So, that's what leaders do. They know, okay, we're moving in a certain direction. but not be surprised when things maybe get taken off course a slight bit. So we've had this recently with our church expansion project with a parking lot and things like that. We have all these things. For some reason, the city just hates our guts, I guess. I don't know. But it's just like we have this plan in place. We do everything we're supposed to do, cross our T's, dot our I's, and then go above and beyond anything that we can be asked for. And then something gets thrown in there that we weren't expecting, and we could just like throw in the towel and be like, all right, we're just going to give up. But the thing was, as a leader, our pastor said, we'll figure it out. And when we figure it out, and we just keep moving it forward, because he's expecting that those things are going to happen.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, I talk about this all the time, is when you go to do some activity, a big project, anything worth doing, the real frustration and the point where you want to stop is if you go into it thinking it's going to go perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go perfectly.
It's going to go painfully.
Yeah, and so expect that, and then you don't have to be a pessimist, but expect that there's going to be speed bumps. But here's the other key thing. I think I might have wrote this in the notes, but yeah, if you're not hitting any speed bumps, you're probably not going fast enough. You're probably not pushing hard enough.
Probably not going in the right direction.
Yeah. If you're not hitting easy speed bumps, you're probably not going, in the right direction. You're not moving. You're not growing.
You should face some resistance. That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, in your walk with God, like, if you're not facing any adversity, you're probably not walking in the right direction.
Yeah. And that's what, like, going back to this title, growth in motion. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost an oxymoron, because there's no growth without motion. You don't sit at home and like, I'm going to sit at home, listen to preaching tapes and study my Bible. No.
Just me and Jesus.
Yeah, just me and Jesus. Yeah, so it's growth in motion. You're going to hit those speed bumps. I wrote, anticipation reduces frustration. When you expect that there's going to be those challenges there, when you, let's bring it to Sunday school. When you come into Sunday school, and again, I'm not talking about being a pessimist and saying, it's going to be terrible, everything's going to be terrible. No, it's not that. It's just being realistic and knowing when you come into Sunday school, these are kids. Yep. And I'm not even just talking about kids that come on the bus. There's church kids that are orangutans sometimes.
Oh, my goodness.
And so you got to know, like, coming into it, okay, we're probably going to have some challenges today because they're kids.
Mm-hmm. There's this, hopefully this doesn't get off the rails, but there's this concept called shin conditioning in martial arts, and where someone continuously kicks a hard surface with their shin, creating little microfractures in the bone, which then heal stronger and becomes more dense. So they are becoming stronger through pain and discomfort. And as human beings, we need to have a little bit of resistance to keep us grounded and help us to continue to grow. And so the way you approach a situation like Sunday school and that goes off the rails will help out a lot in regards to where that's going to take your Sunday school. So like we've had Sunday schools where like it was just like all hell was breaking loose. Mm-hmm. And we've had kids that were hitting and saying crazy stuff, and then if we just threw the towel in and we were just like, all right, we just can't handle this kind of stuff because we weren't expecting it, like we were just talking about, then it wouldn't have gotten to where it is. I mean, we're going to have those weeks. You're going to have those painful situations that come up. You're going to have some kid that tells you, they hate you or something crazy like that. Right, you just never know. Yeah. But you just have to take the punches and roll with the punches a little bit and just be willing to take it on the chin sometimes and say, this is a part of growing. And the thing is some of those kids are expecting you to react in a certain way negatively because that's what they see all the time.
And sometimes they're pushing those buttons because they're testing you. They're testing and they want to see, is he going to react that way?
That kid might look like he has no idea what's going on, but he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. And the thing is if you respond in the right way, the way that God wants you to and the way he expects us to, it can make such a big difference. And we've seen kids that have come into this Sunday school that some of them have prayed through, not even just in Sunday school, but then they've also come into the main service, and they come here every service. Their family doesn't even come here. Mm-hmm. And some of us even forget how crazy some of these kids were that when they first started, and they've been coming here since they were little kids on the bus, and now they're 14, 15 years old, and they're here every single service, but they don't come here with their family. They're the only ones that come. Yeah. And it's
that's
because
a direct result of Sunday school.
Yeah, being willing to take some of those bumps and bruises along the way.
Yeah, and that builds a resilience. Like, if you think about it, any leader, I'll use a term, worth his salt, any leader that's good, that you want to follow, has been through some stuff. None of us want to go through stuff, but that's the path. That's the growth in motion. Right. What's the no pain, no gain? Exactly. And so, you have to go through that, which leads us to our final point as we're getting close to our time. Don't waste a mistake. So I put failure isn't falling short. So the failure isn't, the mistake itself, the misstep. The failure is if we miss the lesson in the mistake. Even if it's as simple as, don't do that again.
When you stick your finger in the light socket and it shocks you, that means don't do that again.
Don't do that again.
Every mistake is an opportunity to grow and to become better. And the question we have to ask ourselves, will we become better or continue to make the same mistakes over and over again? Are we going to allow those mistakes that we've made to help us to learn and to move into stronger places in God, or to help grow our ministries? Or are we just going to keep making the same mistakes, or even worse, just not be willing to step out because of one mistake that might have happened?
Yeah. Well, and if a leader has never made any mistakes, if they're be able to say, I haven't made mistakes. Well, first of all, they're probably lying.
Yeah.
But the other thing is well, I don't want to follow you then, because you must not have done anything. Yeah. I mean, mistakes are the tuition for growth. That's how you grow.
Man. I was going to say earlier is I couldn't follow somebody who either hasn't experienced anything or hasn't made some mistakes, because, or at least can't admit that they've made mistakes. Because you said, there's well, you haven't taken any kind of risk. So you're wanting me to take a risk, and you're trying to get me to do these kinds of things that are risky, but you say you haven't made any mistakes or had anything that come up in your life. That tells me that you're not willing to take the risk. And again, that falls back to before, which is as a leader, you cannot ask somebody that is underneath you in ministry or whatever to do something that you wouldn't do yourself or haven't already done.
Right.
And I think that nobody's going to follow somebody who hasn't experienced the things that they're talking to you about. So Pastor Burgess, for us, he hasn't drank alcohol or ever done drugs. That's an amazing testimony, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't experienced difficulties in life.
Right. Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that you have to have been in an abusive family like some of these kids have been.
Yeah.
But you still experience things in life. You still know what it's like to struggle and have difficulties and be a child growing up and be confused about things that happen as you grow older and stuff like that. So you can still have experienced some things. You need to share that with these kids. And so as a leader, we need to be willing to step out, partially so that helps us grow, but then also that when we then get into those positions, we can ask somebody else to do that as well, and then be like, hey, I've also gone through this. I know what it's like to step out, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because I've also made mistakes because I stepped out.
Yeah, and to clarify, there's, as a pastor or something, you can lead people that have gone to prison, never having gone to prison yourself.
100%.
And so that we're not saying, that, but you have to have, coming back all the way to the whole idea of this episode is growth.
Right.
There has to be some things that you've gone through and that you've grown in those. And it might be where somebody from the outside looks at your quote unquote cushy life. Yeah. And that's fine, whatever. But there's different levels of that growth. I think of one example, and we're out of time, but Joseph, we don't hear a whole bunch. I mean, there's a little bit, but we don't hear a whole bunch after he becomes the leader. I mean, we hear a little bit about his family and a little bit about him, but there's not a whole lot in those years. And I can't remember how many years it is, but we hear everything up to it. The pit. I did this one time with the P's, the pit, the prison, the palace, or something. Anyway, so he went through all of those things. But all of those things that he went through, I mean, now look at the kind of leader he could be, because he went through everything, and he was faithful.
Yep, and it was a great testimony. He is willing to. I'm sure we didn't hear about it, but I'm sure he was willing to share with other people, hey, this is what I've been through in my life. I dealt with all these difficulties, but this is where God has brought me.
Yeah.
And
Well, and look,
testament.
he was like a leader in prison.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think the whole premise, growth in motion, is just to remind everybody that. So we all, if you listen to a podcast like this, you probably know that we need to grow, but remember that growth, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen in a laboratory. It happens in motion. It happens by doing stuff and getting out there, stepping out, and you grow. And don't be scared. Like you said, don't be scared to make those mistakes. Don't be afraid. You're going to hit speed bumps. Expect them. Look for them.
Yep. Be willing to step out and step up, and don't worry. God's got it all under control.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you're just, not sure how it's all going to work out, but just keep on working, and God will take care of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
All right.